Right. Hello, Kuva. Welcome. Savva Talk Spurs. I'm Savva, you're Kuva. We are here for a Friday afternoon's, a therapy session, I think Friday afternoon is. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. A bit of trepidation going into the end of the week game. It's not been an easy ride this last week, has it?
No, I'd say it's been a tough last 4 or 5 games. I would say Leicester aside, but even the Leicester game wasn't. I don't think it was a 6-2 game, so to
Yeah,
speak. But
exactly.
yeah, sorry, I was reading a comment on my YouTube just as the intro started, which said, "Savva, you're always hating on us. Put up or shut up," and I wasn't quite sure how to take that. So
How do you put up?
I know I don't know what I don't know. Maybe I have to put up 4 billion and buy the club, but I'm
Yeah,
trying.
good idea. We'll have a whip round. Hang
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah.
I've got 20 quid in me wallet at the moment.
Perfect. I saw Stell flying about with some money yesterday, so we'll see what we can do.
Loaded.
Mate, it is it's strange at the moment. Let's start off by saying that it's strange times, because if anybody was to stop us right now and say, look at the Premier League table, everything is hunky dory, you'd have to say, yeah, third in the league, it's fine. When
But
you
easy comeback to that is after 3 games we were top of the league under Nuno, we were top of the league under Mourinho.
yeah,
It doesn't
right.
matter until time progresses and it starts meaning more, does it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And we were talking about this sort of football isn't sustainable for getting the results, and we're starting to see the wheels come off now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think we said 4 or 5 games ago that all the while this football isn't sustainable. The test for me certainly was when it's not working. What do we do as a team? What do we have in reserve? We've got this deep squad now that everyone's talking about, and where that's being found to be incorrect, now fans are suddenly saying he doesn't have the players. So where do you sit with that? I mean, look, we'll go deep into the transfer window in a minute, and I want to talk about Paratici in detail. But I know you don't like this style of football the same way I don't. Has he got? He's not got the best squad, but has he got the players to at least try something new, Kuva?
Yeah, I mean, this one we keep throwing backwards and forwards, isn't it, mate? Yeah, of course he could try something different, but he's not going to. He's going to go with his tried and trusted techniques. That's why it comes ultimately. These sort of things come down to Levy. He's the one that employs the manager. If he hasn't got the sense to know what sort of style of football the manager wants to play, that is on him. Conte's going to do what Conte does. It's up to Levy to just back it now. Doesn't really matter if we got the players or not. The style of play is going to be the same. It's how well we do it. It's what quality there is to bring it off. When you got the likes of Emerson Royale and the team, you got the likes of Sanchez and Davis waking and coming. Dyer's out. Who's going to play there now? It's not good, is it? With even the tried and trusted pairing in that midfield, Højbjerg, Bentancur, they don't exactly dominate games, do they?
No,
see that.
No, they don't. I think the key thing for me is this. It's we had a team last year that he'd kind of settled on as his 11, right? And what was thrown at him, what was thrown around was, well, look, he can't change anything for the bench because he turns around, he looks, and there's nothing there. Then you look onto that, and we've added 6 new players, and we won't count Adoji at the moment because obviously he's still with Udinese. We've added those 6 players, and yet still now, apparently, we look at the bench and there's still nothing new. So are we to believe from this, Kuva, that he didn't want these signings, or the ones he's playing purely because other players are injured, i.e., is Richarlison playing because Kulusevski's injured? Is Longley playing because Ben Davies has been injured? Or are they his players?
Well, Conte has got a reputation of having a lot of trust. As soon as a player gains his trust, he will stick by them. And that seems to be the case here, doesn't it? I don't think we've really gone long enough into the season to know the answer to that. There's hints at it. I'm sure we're not alone. Am I speaking for you as well? I think I am. Saying some of these players he clearly didn't seem to want. I mean,
Sure.
Jed Spence, he's publicly said he don't feel he's ready, and it's a club signing. You'd have to apply that to the likes of Basuma as well. Is that why he was not getting a game? I think he has got an injury or something at the moment. There could be something to the injury side of it. It's guesswork, isn't it, mate? But when you see some things, some of your fears are confirmed with Jed Spence, you've got to start applying that sort of logic to the rest of it. Players not getting in the team is probably because he doesn't fancy them there. Is Longley playing just because Davies had an injury? Could be.
Yeah, exactly. We might not know. First of all, to everyone in the chat, hello, good afternoon to you. This is the phone-in show. So Kuva and I will talk for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. And then what we will do is we'll put the StreamYard link into the chat. If you want to come on, please, rules, have a video on. Please be dressed. I know that sounds obvious, but please be dressed. Have a name on the screen. And please don't be anywhere where it is noisy. The big one, the big rule, which I've noticed lately, is if you come on and I let you on the screen, that means you do need to turn down if you are listening to myself and Kuva. Otherwise, all we will hear is me and Kuva. And as much as we love our own voice, it's hard when there's feedback. Kuva, let's jump in. Hello to everyone in the chat. Stel's in the chat. Full Ball is in the chat. Jabalani, John Fitzpatrick, Luan. Good win for your boys last night after going behind Luan. Party after party's here who told me that unequivocally, he told me today that Conte has been backed. So let's look at this, Kuva. I want to look at it from a different angle as to has Conte been backed. I want to look at it more from a Paratici standpoint. So Paratici's come in, and in the last 3 windows since he's been with us, he's signed 14 players. Now, of those 14, I publicly said today that for me, Romero, Kulusevski, and Bentancur to a degree, I'm very happy with as signings. The other 11, I just don't understand what's different from Paratici to Hitchin. Is that harsh, or are we just seeing the reality now that it's not Hitchin, it's not Paratici, it's not Paul, what's his name? Who was the guy that went to Liverpool?
I've forgotten his name. I was going to say Paul Stalteri for a minute.
His name's gone right out of my head. But it's not these guys. It is, in fact, still that Daniel Levy runs the club, and every transfer window is a mirror image, no matter who the director of football and manager are. What do you reckon?
It's an interesting cocktail of all of it, I think. You see some signings like Perisic. There's clearly a Conte and Paratici influence there in signing Perisic. It's an obvious one. The Italian connections and having been an ex-player for the club, for the manager. But then you throw in Jed Spence, who clearly isn't a Conte signing. So there's a bit of both going on here, and it's not good. This is why I'm always saying with the whole structure we've had in the club for ages, we do neither one thing nor the other. It's neither going with a complete clean sweep of players coming in specifically for one manager's style of play and just going for it, or you build for the future and then you get a manager in who is going to take that proper 5-year project, perhaps even a 10-year project, building up through the youth players, changing the way the academies run. So we're generating our own players and bringing in youthful players into the team so he can build them into something. A Pochettino, perfect for that. We're not at that stage where we can do that. So all this talk about, Poch in now isn't going to work as far as I'm concerned. So we're in the midst of this sort of indecisive transfer dealings. It's neither one nor the other. We get occasional good players in. I mean, Romero, great signing. You've got to say that. Bentancur seems to be decent. Yeah, I agree with you, your assessment of it. I think Richarlison's a pretty useful player, but he's not the instant first team, replaces the first team member instantly, does he? For me, he is the one that is a willing runner and will fill the wide roles. But ideally, most importantly, he can fill in for Kane as being the centre forward when we need him.
Yeah.
That's something we were lacking. So I think he's a good signing in that respect. But he doesn't improve the first 11, does he? So you need that in other positions then, if you're going to do that. It's good to have some utility players, but at the end of the day, get the best you possibly can in each slot.
I mean, the way I look at it is like this. I mean, I'm a believer that people need time, but I'm also a believer that as football's evolved, time is a commodity that you don't get anymore.
Yeah.
Like look how many managers we see. They come in, they get 10, 15 games, you're gone. Same with directors of football and this and that, the other. And I look at it and I look at his first window, and of the 5 signings, if it wasn't for Romero, right, he would have been considered a complete and utter failure at his job, because the other 4 players, other than Romero, who was alone at first, was Galini on loan, Emerson Royale, I'm going to move on, Papa Sarr, and Brian Hill. So that Romero signing for me really papered over what was an absolutely dreadful window. Now, I'm never going to defend Enoch and Levy, because, as always, Enoch and Levy out. Right, get out my club. But what I will say is, for the money that he was given in that window, are you telling me that the best attacking player he could find was Brian Hill at 25 million plus Lamella? Was the best right back he could find across the world Emerson Royal at 30 million? You know, was the best young midfielder Papa Sarr, who was struggling to get into the Mets team, who were nearly relegated? You know, Galini, who was dropped from Atalanta. I just wonder, if it wasn't for that Romero deal, would our fans be calling him Don Paratici?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think a lot of it.
Silly question, Savva. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, a great mate of mine, David Harris on Irish Hotspur, he always coined the phrase Don Paratici, and we knew it was tongue in cheek sort of thing, but I think it stems from the hopeful bit. It's the desperation from the club, and as fans, we're hoping everything's going as we want it to. So it's like you're trying to will the transfers into being the right ones and working. I kind of admire that trying to stay positive with it, but you look at the results, they're not good, are they? I mean, Hill, you look at him when he came on, there's people raving about him, and the rest of us are looking at him objectively and saying he couldn't even stand up physically to the game. I don't see what he's going to do for us at all at any point. What has he ever done for us? He runs around a bit and looks like one of the Beatles. That's it.
So he's good for a fancy dress night. But I mean, when you look at this, I mean, let's fast forward that, and in the next 5-10 minutes, I will put the link up for anyone that wants to join in. So please, if you want to discuss anything, please have something to talk about. You can come on. Please, we don't subscribe to Kuva. There's nothing to subscribe to at the moment. We don't know if that will change in the future. Well, I don't know what to say.
I do have a channel. Sunday nights. Yeah, Sunday nights. Bobby K and I, we do Kuva and the Kang.
There you go.
Channel. There you go.
There you go. What's it called? Where can people subscribe to?
That's on Three Spurs Boys. It's like a sub channel of the Three Spurs Boys. So
go and subscribe to the Free Spurs Boys. You will find Kuva there on a Sunday night with Bobby K. Please subscribe to.
There'll be a little bit something happening on In the Wall on Saturday night as well. Bob Spur TV.
Oh, nice.
A few changes in the works there.
Oh, well, has Bob grown some hair or?
Yeah, he thought he'd give it a go. He thought if he could get a nice Beatles haircut, he could sign for Tottenham and get about 20 grand a week.
Yeah. Did you know he used to be in a coma?
Did he?
Yeah, it's breaking news. Breaking news. Other than that, please subscribe to Savva Talk Spurs. We're flying at the moment, to be honest. I've come back from honeymoon and we're getting a lot of subscribers. The videos are picking up. We're going to do loads and loads of content for you. Going to do lots of collaborations with good people. Let's fast forward, Kuva, to the next window, which was everyone talks about this window as the window that got us top four. It was Kulusevski and Bentancur coming in on the last day, if I'm not wrong, or the second to the penultimate day, the transfer window. And this shows for me the fine margins in football, because it took us 30 days of nothing happening and everyone going, hang on, to suddenly getting a couple of, and I'm not saying this, but everyone says the Juventus rejects, and all of a sudden we're away. Now, was that a masterstroke, or was that an easy deal for Paratici because of his connections with Juve?
You've got to look at it as failed the rest of the window and then desperately went using his connections to get him at the last moment. Not that I'm objecting to the transfers. They're both decent players.
Of course, yeah.
But it was a last throw of the dice. I mean, when you know you have to reinforce in January and you leave it the entire month before getting somebody, that can't be right, can it? Surely you're planning weeks, months in advance to do it. Yeah. You should have players lined up. You look at the way anybody else does business. Liverpool wants somebody, they go out and get them. Bang, it's done.
Yeah.
Man City, Chelsea want somebody. Bang, bang, got the players.
And it's not like...
Yeah. Sorry,
it's not like to get Bentancur and Kulusevski. It was two players that were a huge part of the Juventus machine. They were in and out the team, not really wanted. So if they were indeed our first choice targets, I agree with you. Why was that not 1st of January? Right, Juve, this is who Conte wants. We want him. Can we have him? It almost felt like we went through the whole window again of trying to get this, that, the other. Didn't work. I'm not knocking them as signings, as you said. They turned out to be good signings, but it just felt again that it was no plan, like it was a panic.
It's balancing the books dictates the transfer policy rather than focusing on what you need as a player.
Yes,
it's always smacked to that right from the very start with Enoch. I keep saying it with the obvious ones when Hodder was in charge back in 2001. And wanted Morientes and Samuel Eto'o. Two incredible players. Were on the verge of signing them both for 12 million. And then Levy dithers because he wants to structure the payments so it doesn't cost as much in one go. We end up with Helder Postiga, Bobby Zamora instead. And you look right the way through the last 22 years, littered with cases of doing the same. Occasional transfer windows we get it right, but they are the exception to the rule, really, aren't they? It just keeps happening. There's no sense of focus. We don't have a direction. It just changes. We meander our way through this Premier League, flip-flopping one manager to another, style to another, set of players to another. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just it's pot luck. I think people are coming up with a scattergun phrase. It is quite accurate with what we do. So eventually something sticks, doesn't it?
What makes me laugh is, I mean, look, I get party bias, so to speak, but as you know, Kuva, I don't have that. I'm not biased towards my own football club because I've seen the way we're run for so long. But these are the type of comments you get. A 9 out of 10 January transfer window. I mean, I don't think 2 signings on the last day of the window plus letting 4 or 5 go out on loan, not giving more bodies to the squad is a 9 out of 10 window. Yes, we finished 4th, but because of not having more bodies, we got knocked out of FA Cup to Middlesbrough. I'm not saying that one reason, but he didn't have anybody to change it up with. So when I look at that, and then I look at things like, this is what makes me laugh. This is Spurs fans to a T. Now, look how we belittle every other player, right? This is Luis Diaz, right, we're talking about here. Now, if we look at Luis Diaz, am I saying Luis Diaz is the world's best footballer? No, I'm not. But Luis Diaz this season has got better stats than Richarlison, Kulusevski, and Son. Right?
Yeah, but he's no Ndombele or Lo Celso, is he?
He's not. And if you look at last season, he came in and got 7 goal contributions in 13 games. So when we're saying about wasting 45 million on Luis Diaz, I would love Luis Diaz in our squad because I think he's got that something that we've not got. I think he's got that. I think who used the word the other day? Was it Henry used the word pizzazz? or so he's got that bit of skill, that bit of trickery. I don't understand how only a Spurs fan could look at a player like Luis Diaz and go, we would have wasted 45 million. So here's his stats for Liverpool. Right, this is just in the league. His stats for Liverpool is played 20, scored 8, assisted 5. Right, that's not a waste of 45 million. The difference is when you look at Richarlison at 60 million. You ready? This is Richarlison. Now, I'm not saying who I'd rather. Actually, yes, I am. I'd much rather have Luis Diaz than Richarlison. That's just me. If you look at overall Tottenham Hotspur, who am I looking at? If we look at Richarlison this season, 7 Premier League games, no goals. Right? No goals and 1 assist. Right? You then look at Dejan Kulusevski. I'm not saying who's better. I'm just saying before we belittle players, Kulusevski, 1 goal, 2 assists this season. You know, it's like I don't understand when I see these things, Kuva, how fans can say these things and truly believe it in their own mind that like Luis Diaz is not a good player. Why do we do this?
Again, I think it's part of you always wants your players to be better than the opposition. And so you'll grab any sort of hint of them doing something, or blinker yourself to the rest of it. It's a really natural thing to do anyway. It's like when your favourite player goes off form, you don't want to hear the criticism. You don't want to look at the reality.
Yeah.
So I think people do it out of loyalty to the club. I get that, but it's not a realistic view on things. I think eventually people do come round and go, all right, perhaps he wasn't as good as we were thinking. I think a lot of the Emerson Royale backers are starting to see now. Okay, perhaps people were right with saying he's not that good.
The thing with it, Kuba, had we have signed Luis Diaz and had Liverpool had signed Dejan Kulusevski, we'd have fans going, Diaz is much better. Now, listen, first and foremost, I'm one of these fans where at the moment I don't understand. Why is it these two are always compared? First and foremost, they play on different wings, right? Diaz plays on the left, Kulusevski plays on the right. They're very different players. Diaz is more of your tricky winger, right? He's going to beat the man. He's got lots of skill. Kulusevski's more of your direct running, cut in, have a dig, or whip a ball in. But yet they seem to get compared. Is it just because they were bought in the same window for two different? Was it because we wanted Diaz?
Wide attackers, isn't it? Yeah, I think the part that we wanted with Diaz in the first place, that's going to have something to do with it. Of course it is. It's a bit of resentment towards a player that turns you down in favour of a rival, isn't there? Always will be. So you take it's natural to just belittle them a little bit. I don't really blame fans for doing it. I'll take a lot of the comments with a pinch of salt when they do it, because you know deep down they don't really mean a lot of what when they're saying it. We'll do it. We'll all say, Arteta clueless, doesn't know what he's doing. Arsenal no chance, they're going to struggle this season. You kind of knew they're heading in the right direction, though, didn't you? I mean, that run in the end of last season, it was more a case of who wanted it less to get into the top 4. It wasn't because we had a great run in. It wasn't because they had a great run in. There's 2 teams struggling to find a bit of rhythm going in the season. You'd argue second half of the season, perhaps till those 3 bad games they had in a row, losing 3 in a row, it looked like they were going to run away with it. And then we're taking it in turns to throw the opportunity when we just scraped it, didn't we? But suddenly, we thought we're way ahead of them this season. Don't know why.
Just quickly, if you're in the background, unless you have your camera on, I will not be allowing anyone onto the stream. I will not be falling for these games. If you didn't mean to do that, please just put your camera on and I'll let you on. There we go. Richie, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, man, I'm good. You guys looking forward to the game tomorrow?
Kuva, I'll let you take that.
A little bit nervous about it, mate, because we've just not been playing very well, have we?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest fear going into tomorrow, man. Like, I know we've been getting the results and everything, but performance-wise, we've been so poor, man. I'm hoping tomorrow is a shift. Tomorrow the performance can finally start developing without Emerson being there, man. I'm telling you, this guy sucks the life out of me, man, because every game before you look forward to see the lineup, you're looking forward to hoping that this is the day that there's a change or something in the lineup, and then you go and the time comes for the lineup to be shown, and it's like you see his name, it just drains your energy, man. I'm telling you, it's so draining that he keeps picking this guy. So I'm happy tomorrow that Emerson won't be in the lineup. Hopefully there's a difference. We'll see what happens.
So Richie, let me ask you then, with Emerson Royal being suspended, are we going to see one of our actual right wing backs play, or do you think he's going to go with Perisic on the right and put Sessegnon to the left? What do you reckon, my man?
I think knowing Conte, he's going to put Perisic on the right and Sessegnon on the left. I don't think he trusts Jet Spence yet. For what reason, I do not know. I don't think he thinks that Matt Doherty is like fully fit yet. So I don't think that he's going to play him either. I think we're going to see Spence and Perisic tomorrow.
Yeah. What would you do if you were manager? Would you put Perisic to the right, or would you give Spence a chance in the team? I mean, it can't be worse than Royal, can it?
What I personally would do, I would actually put Perisic in the front three, and I would put Sessegnon at left back, and I would play Spence in right wing back, or even Doherty, give him a chance too. But I would put Perisic actually in the front three tomorrow with Son and Kane, and because Perisic most of his career, he's played in a front three, and he can offer that creative spark that we need in that front three, just as a Kulusevski might, because Kulusevski is going to be out tomorrow, and I would have Richarlison on the bench tomorrow. That's just what I'm thinking.
So would there be any part of you, Richie, that would be tempted, if you were the manager, would you be tempted to change it up from a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2 and just have Kane and Son up top and let them kind of rekindle their bromance that they've got going on for the last 7 years?
100%, man. I would definitely start Basuma or Skip in that midfield alongside Højbjerg and what's his name? Forgot his name now. This can't come. Bentancur, sorry. I would definitely do that, but I'm just assuming that he's just gonna be stubborn and stick with the 3-4-3. But if it was my choice, I would be 3-5-2, and that's what I would do. Play with the three midfielders. But I know him, man. Like, we've seen it. He's not gonna do that. He's not gonna do it. Yeah, because if there was one game that he should have done, it was in the North London derby last week, which I think was the perfect time to play the 3-5-2, but he didn't. I think if he doesn't do it in that game, he's not going to do it in this game. That's just my feeling, though. I hope he proves me wrong.
I agree. I mean, Kuva, let me quickly bring you in there. Everyone, not everyone, but most people were calling out for the kind of 3-5-2 against Arsenal, a team that, I hate saying this, but a very good team that keep the ball, that pass you to death. Brighton are a similar outfit in terms of Brighton like possession of the ball. Their philosophy is the complete opposite to Conte's, where Conte allows the other team to have the ball. Brighton like to have it. Is this another example, like Richie said, where we need to see the 3-5-2, but he'll be stubborn again, and we will just see the 3-4-3 as per status quo?
I think I'd like to see the 3-5-2 as well, but I don't think it will happen. I mean, Brighton are actually lining up with a 3-4-3 themselves, so you could argue that it's an even match that way. Trouble is, they really press. They're quite a ferocious pressing team, and that keeps the game being played in our half for a lot of it. With Dyer being out of the team as well, even dare I say Emerson being out, is that going to affect us defensively? Because you do lose his aggression and fierce tackling at times, which is sometimes. No, I'll take it back. I'm not backing him. You got to look at it the way it's played. It's not just about formations. It's about the way each team member is applying themselves within that formation.
Sure.
We are not particularly aggressive in the final third, bar Richarlison. He seems to do a lot of work and very little end product. And the other two, it's end product, but they're not getting the work done to get it there in the first place. So you'd have to say Brighton are set up better, in better form, and more organised. They look like a more coherent team unit. We don't. We look like a defensive unit and then three forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So
who's
Richie,
supposed to be a top 6 club? Us or Brighton? No, who is supposedly a top 6 club? Us or Brighton?
Should be us, I think. At the end of the season, it's just down to player quality up front. I think that's the only big difference.
I think on paper we have a better we have a better team than Brighton. We should, with the players we have, we should be playing like the way Brighton are playing, and Brighton should be playing the way we're playing. You get what I'm trying to say? We should.
I want to be controversial here because let's face it, that's who I am and that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you here. I believe, right, that if you ask fans of clubs that aren't Tottenham, I think if we actually look at Brighton's defence and midfield, I don't think we are in any way, shape or form better than them. I just think what Brighton do not have is Kane, Son, Kulusevski. So my question to you two is, if this Brighton team, if their front three with the way they play was Kane, Son, Kulusevski, would Brighton be top 4 and Spurs wouldn't if the forwards were swapped?
100%. I think they would be easily. I think they wouldn't be easily. Sorry, I think they would be pushing for that top 4 spot easily. Like they would be pushing. They would be in the conversation for top 4 for sure. With what they have, the way they play, the way they create chances, the way they move the ball, the patterns of play, the way they play, man, is just, it's so good to watch, man. They have this real thing about them, man. Like they turn up to Liverpool last week and they give them a run for their money, man. Like, right at Anfield. Like, how many times have we done that in the past? I don't know, 5-6 years. Like, how many times have we done that? So
we go to Anfield and we stick 10 men behind the ball. We counter
exactly.
They actually
and
we're going to play. We're going to
Exactly. And I love that about a team. Maybe that's just because of the person I am. I don't believe in this cowardice football, man. I call it coward football because I think that's just what it is.
I agree. I mean, look, just before I let you go, Richie, so that we can get somebody else on. This is for both of you. I think that this is one of them things where if Spurs were to sign players from Brighton, our fans would turn their noses up at it. But when I look at Brighton's team, Lamptey walks into our team at right wing back. I think Webster walks into our team from a centre-half perspective. I think Dunk walks into our team from a centre-half perspective. I think McAllister in central midfield. I think Moises Caicedo in central midfield. Trossard walks into... It's one of those ones where I truly believe that there's not a lot between the two teams, apart from, as I say, not a lot. Our front three will get 60 goals between them this season. Their front three will probably get about 15. And that, for me, is the difference. And it's what Graham, who normally comes on this show, and you met Graham Kuva, he always says to me, big guns. All about the big guns.
Yeah.
Brighton have to play really well and have to take their limited chances. Spurs can be poor, but Kane and Son and Kulu can dig you out a hole. Would that be fair?
That is the tactic, isn't it? It's defend, try and limit the amount of shots and big chances that the opponents have, and then just wait for Sonny, Kane, Kulusevski to do the business, isn't it? That is our plan.
So then, Kuva, discuss this for me. So, sorry, this is the thing. When we're saying man for man, we are better. Man for man. If I look at their midfield and our midfield and their defence and our defence, man for man, are we? Does Moises Caicedo not walk into our midfield?
Well, it doesn't matter, though, does it? I mean, remember Real Madrid during the Galactico period where they're just signing the best players on the planet and throwing them in, hope it
Yep.
worked. It didn't work, did it? It's
No.
the team outweighs it outweighs the sum of its parts, doesn't it? That's what they've got working really well for them. That's what's not quite working for us at the moment. We are relying on brilliance of world-class players to get some goals, and hoping the rest of the team keep the clean sheet. It's ugly to watch. It's effective in some matches, but it's starting to get found out as well now.
I think our team is a bunch of individuals, and we're not playing as a team. I think Brighton, they play as a team, man. Everybody contributes in some way, somehow, to build up play, creating chances, everything. I think we sit back, we defend, we soak up pressure, and we hope, by God, that we can get a few chances and we can be clinical up front. That's all. That's what we do, and that's the fact of the matter. And it's all about Conte too. Like we just bought Basuma from Brighton, and we thought he was going to be a starter for sure. But look at how that situation turned out. He's not. Has he even started? He started one game, I think, right?
One game against West Ham.
Yeah, one game, and it doesn't matter if we buy whoever we could buy Tariq Lamptey, but if it doesn't suit the manager and he doesn't adapt to his system, whatever his system is. Because I'm getting confused now. I don't know if he's even going to start the player if it's not specifically his player that he wanted.
Well, when you look at it, Richie, I mean, it's comments like this where Conte makes us miles and miles better. I don't believe from what I watched that this is the case. I'm looking at the league table now. Of course, the league table can move, and I'm not expecting Brighton to be up there come the end of the season because I don't think they've got goal scorers. But Brighton are 3 points behind us with a game in hand, right? They've let in less goals than us, but the story is, as always, they've scored less than us. And if I look back to the game at, I'll call it White Hart Lane just because I can't call it anything else. If I look back to the game at White Hart Lane against Brighton at the end of last season, if I remember correctly, they gave us a bit of a footballing lesson when they beat us. I thought they were excellent. They were absolutely excellent. And I've got a feeling tomorrow, even if we get a result, it will be again, I think they're going to give us a bit of a footballing lesson. Now, people can say Conte's not been backed and he's not had this money, but how much money do Brighton have? How much do they spend?
That's 100% what I think as well, man. I look at these, that's why I said, going back to my point before, who's the top 6 club? We spent so much more money than Brighton. How are we not playing better football with a supposedly elite manager? How are we not playing this kind of football? How are we having to go into this game and looking to be everybody saying 2-2, 1-1? I hope we get a draw. All this. We should be the team. Brighton should be scared of us tomorrow, man. But instead, I feel like we're the ones who scared of Brighton tomorrow. Right. How is that the case? Right. Another point, my friend, if you don't mind me bringing this up, right? And this is a reality check for a lot of people right now. I think it's gonna twist some minds here what I'm about to say, but man, Arsenal, they're the real deal right now, buddy. And you have to respect what they are doing right now. It hurts to say this. What I'm saying right now, it hurts. They are everything we should be doing right now. The way they're investing in proper youngsters, they have a good culture. They're bringing youngsters. We saw Marquinhos yesterday, Fabio Vieira, all these players. They're back. Their manager is backing their young players, and it's if I take my Spurs hat off, it's actually beautiful to see, man. It's really beautiful to see. If I take my Spurs
hat off, to watch. They are good to watch, and I know there'll be diehard Spurs fans. I mean, everyone should be a diehard Spurs fan, but let me give you an example, Richie, of I think younger fans that don't understand that you can praise other people. I love this guy. This guy makes me laugh. So first of all, you've got party after party saying, I'm embarrassed to be compared to Brighton. Well, Brighton beat us last year. I think tomorrow they'll have all the game, and I think they're going to get some form of result. And then he goes on to say, Then he backs me. He doesn't realise he's backing me. Brighton spent 52 million in the summer, and they lost their 2 best players. I mean, that's
Exactly.
they spent less than we spent on Richarlison. Yeah, replacing. I mean, what in the last 3 years they've lost Ben White, right? They've lost Cucurella. They've lost
Basuma.
And listen, and then
the manager.
But look, here's where the delusion comes in, Richie. Arsenal, the real deal. You're losing credibility. What I love, party after party, I'd love for you to pop on and just let us know. And we can only speak right now. What we're seeing from Arsenal, no one's saying they're going to win the league, by the way, but what we're seeing from them, they look the real deal for a top 4. They look a very good footballing team. They look organised. They play well. They press well. They score. They create. Party off party. Who's a better football team, Tottenham or Arsenal?
Arsenal, hands down. Right now, Arsenal.
I bet
right now, Arsenal. Arsenal reminds me so much of what we used to be under Poch 2015-16. Like, and if they do it right and they back their manager, man, I'm telling you, they're gonna be trouble next season. I don't think they're gonna win the league this season, but I think for sure, they're gonna finish top 4. Like they're gonna finish easily. They're gonna finish top 4.
Agree, Richie.
And they're headed in the right direction. I think sometimes, like a lot of the times, our fan base, they just need to take their Spurs hat off for a second and be like, you know what, that club, yeah, we hate them, but they're actually doing the right things. At least acknowledge that they're doing the right things, man.
Doing the right things.
I think the comparison with the Pochettino side is a good one as well, because Arsenal doing the same thing in that they set up to play the game in the opponent's half. They maintain the solidity on that halfway line. Ben White's been playing really well, drifted into that midfield role. Zinchenko doing the same, coming from the other wing-back position. They got solidity, and then they can push Partey and Xhaka forward. They've got loads of players in attack then. It's a really good system. They're playing it really well. It sickens me that even over not just this season, but majority of the last 30 years, they've been playing the better football and getting the bloody trophies. That's really sickening. It's so hard to take.
This is what you get, Kuva. It's things like Savva, Arsenal are fools, 3 injuries, and it's over. I'm going to sit here and say this to you guys
Same
now. First of all, right, Kuva, you read my mind, right? First of all, imagine we lose Kane, Son, and Romero. Right, we've got nothing going forward, and we're all
nothing, bro.
This is where people don't like the truth. Richie, I am going to let you go, mate. I'm going to let somebody else on. But thank you so much for bringing.
Hey, guys, have a great day, man. Have a great day, guys.
Well said. Everything you said. Spot on.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Take care, Richie. Have a good one, man. And we're going to bring in this character is going to come in. Here he is, Marlon from Southview. How are you, mate? Are you good?
Oh, you're on mute, mate.
You're on mute, or you haven't plugged yourself in, or.
Long time no see, boys. How are you?
There we go.
You good?
I am very good. How are you, Kuva? How are you, Savva?
Oh, good, mate. I'll just hope to see you smiling like that come Saturday evening.
Oh, I will be. You know, we've lost to Arsenal now. That's it. I can't get any more depressed than that. So.
It can't get worse. It can't get worse. Let's get straight into it then. Just quickly before I bring you in, Marlon, Hoddle and Waddle. I mean, God, I'd love them in the team. Arsenal are hands down my pants better. Love it. Luan, who's a Man U fan, said Arsenal are playing well and they're getting results. Donny with some really insightful analysis there, saying 3 closet gooners. Okay. Scott said it done them in us getting top 4, so now they're ripping it up. Arsenal 13 league titles, 12 FA Cups, but we're progressing. Look, Ale, I will put the link in the chat, and then once I finish with Marlon, or I might allow you to come on as well. have your video on, please. Marlon, let's get straight into it. At the moment, the subject is it started with Brighton versus Tottenham and who's the better footballing team, and it kind of evolved into Tottenham Arsenal. What you're seeing, Marlon, from Arsenal this year, are they a better, more prepared team for top four? Because I'm not prepared to say either team is in a title challenge. Are they better prepared for a top four challenge than Tottenham are?
I think both are. I think if you look at Arsenal starting 11, you know, they, hate to say this, they play well, they're good. But once you start taking individual players out, like so if they lose Thomas Partey, you can start to see what will happen to their midfield and stuff. They're not exactly the same side. And I think that's what's going to be key for them. Again, if Thomas Partey stays fit and can play, I think they will do well. The problem is, and they're going to have the same problem, is if he gets injured like he did last year, and they don't have good enough cover for him. And that's the only issue, because if you look at their team on against us, that was probably their best 11. Was it Spurs' best 11? Realistically, if we look at it, it probably wasn't. You know, we were missing. Kulusevski makes a big difference to that front three. And now it's starting to show. And people just didn't realise until probably last week and in the last couple of games what Kulusevski actually brings.
Who else were we missing?
So I look at it like this. Perisic hasn't really hit the ground running. And I'm looking at our individual players, right? Yes, we have some good individual players, but as an actual 11, it's probably, you know, I hate to say this, but, you know, you look at someone, if you look at our starting 11 last year, you know, you look at Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. Yeah, they might not be the best, but when they're in the back three with Romero or, you know, with Sanchez, we did play a lot better, unfortunately. And it's just like, it's just one of them things. It was Lenglet's, second or third start?
Marlon, I feel like I'm getting a politician's answer here. Who was missing? Who was missing from our first 11 while I sort my camera out?
So look, I look at it like this. Like, I know a lot of people don't like him, right? But I look at it, left back situation. Cesc has probably been the most consistent, and he's not even been great at left back. Yeah. And Perisic was coming in, and he's not, you know, he hasn't hit the ground running as we all expected. Yeah. I know everyone's issue with Royale, but unfortunately, he's our right back at the present moment. So it is what it is. But, you know, we could have gone 3 in midfield. Would it have worked? Probably not. We can all sit there and go, yeah, but would it have realistically worked? I don't think it would. I still think Spurs at the Emirates is just one of those situations. No matter who we go with, we just don't get a result. You know, it's not. I didn't understand. I was getting there on Friday and Saturday, going, where are all these Spurs fans getting this confidence from? I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand.
Yeah, I agree, mate. It's not like it's been a flash in a pan couple of results like that, is it?
No.
It's how long? 14 years or something stupid?
We have been there, right? Let's say we've been there with Poch, right? Where we were probably fit, like, as people have said, the last 7 years, as a league team, we have been better than Arsenal, right? However, we still haven't gone to the Emirates and won. You know, we had one cup win in that, so I didn't understand everyone's confidence. And Arsenal just picked their game up. It just seems to be their mentality for a North London derby at the Emirates is different to ours. We probably could go there with Mbappe, Messi, and all that, and we'd still probably lose. It's just ingrained in our club not to win there.
It's weird how you can reverse it as well, though, because they're like that when they come to our place.
Exactly, and I think it's going to be a telling difference to see what they're going to be like when they actually come to us in January, because I looked at the goals we conceded as well on Saturday. A goal from 30 odd yards, Partey puts that probably most of the time over the bar, majority of the time. Let's be honest,
but he didn't. I don't understand when people say this. He didn't, did he? He scored a screamer. If a Spurs player, Marlon, if Kane or Benton, whoever had scored that, we'd be going, we beat Arsenal and scored a banging goal. Because Arsenal scored it, we use it as...
But it goes for the same... If Kane or Fink would have done it, I'd have been in the same situation going, we just don't score goals like that. It's just not...
How many goals does Kane score from outside of the box?
Exactly.
Just stuck inside the far post.
So there's a bit of a difference. But when you look at the second goal, it is a massive mistake, a massive howler on 2 players there. Like Lloris can take most of the blame, but you also have to think what Romero is doing. He's not aware and ready. And again, it's another mistake. The third goal.
But the thing is, Marlon, I get it, but the number of times Spurs lose games and fans go, yeah, but if that hadn't happened, the thing is, when these things keep happening, that tells you we're not a good team, right? Because it always happens to us.
But it's only our first loss. So our defensively, we haven't been that bad all season.
Yeah, but Marlon, it's our first loss. But again, it's another team. Any decent team we play, Marlon, any decent team we play, we can't beat. Now, you watch. People in the chat will now completely find excuses. Marlon, this year, our only away win in all competitions, Forest, who are bottom of the table, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right? Of all our away games. Of every game we've played other than that, the only games we've won have been against 20th, 19th, 18th, 16th, and we beat Fulham or 8th. We played West Ham, couldn't beat them. Yeah. Arsenal played off the park. Chelsea played off the park.
Yeah, we've been played off the park. We've been played off the park most of this season. Like everyone is saying, the football's probably not been the greatest. Yeah, and I totally accept that. Sometimes I want to fall asleep watching Spurs. But it's the summer window. I think Conte summed it up. It started off great, but once other teams around us were able to strengthen and there became more and more players available, that's where his frustration came. My big thing about, and I tell you this, I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit for playing Royale and not playing Spence. And I'll explain this, right? Spence might be the better right back. But I look at it like this. Say Spence comes in and plays okay and plays well. Yeah. What's going to happen in January when the club want to make another club signing and they don't want to get the right back?
Mate, hence why, as I will always say, Enoch and Levy out.
Yeah.
Hence why, because this is my point. And everything's not black and white in life, right?
No.
You know, especially when discussing football. And the thing for me is when people say to me things like, oh, you don't like Conte's style of football, you want him out. Whoa. 2 things can be true at any one time. So, i.e., I absolutely hate the owners, Marlon. You know this, right? I hate the owners.
You don't need to tell me.
I also hate Conte's style of play. Both things can be true.
Yeah.
Right? I agree with what you're saying in terms of if he didn't want Spence and it was a club signing, I get why he's not playing him. I understand that. My point is this, is if that's the case and Conte is coming out and saying, I'm happy, and he has, I'm happy, I like what we're doing, we need 3 or 4 windows. I want to see if he follows that through. I do not believe, Marlon, I said this last night, I do not believe in 2, 3, 4 windows time Antonio Conte is going to be here, and I don't believe if he is in those 2, 3, 4 windows, Daniel Levy's going to give him the 2 or 3 top players every window needed to compete.
No, he won't, and we can see that. The Spence signing just summed it all up. At the end of the day, the fact that it took so long, fact that I reckon at the end of the day there was a bid for Real in the summer, and we all were jumping for joy when Atletico Madrid came in for him. But I bet you Conte was told it was Spence, and that was it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, would Conte then go, oh, crap, it's only going to be Spence? Doherty was injured. So was he going to throw Spence in the deep end and go, I've got to use... He needed a right back, and he needed a right back he knew. No matter how much what we all think of him, he needed a right back that he knew. And at the end of the day, Royale was that. No matter how good we know he's a detriment.
Marlon, I get that.
Yeah.
But my worry from the whole window, from the whole point of view was, and I said this when Jose was manager, I've said the same thing now Conte's manager, is no one is going to convince me when looking at the players signed that any of them were his choice. No, I don't believe. I don't believe. I reckon they've turned around and said to him, "What do you need? Okay, I need a centre back. I need a right wing back, a centre mid, a striker, a left wing back." I fail to believe that Spence was even known to him. I reckon Longley would have been nowhere near his list.
No.
Perisic possibly because he knew him, but I doubt he would want to buy a 33-year-old. It just all stinks of Levy.
The only other player I'd probably say he probably did approve of was Richarlison. I think he did approve of that because he knew that he needed a backup. And actually, when you look, no matter how he's played, he probably looked at it and goes, he can cover all three positions of that front three. So he probably looked at that and went, actually, yeah, I'll take that. But yeah, you are right. Perisic, was probably his sign-in. Fraser Foster, he just went, I need a backup goalkeeper, so it doesn't matter really who it is. The Basuma one, I personally thought at the beginning of the season it was, but I'm starting to think, and how he's not playing him, and he's treating him a lot like Spence in the fact of he may not have wanted him. And that's worrying.
I agree.
I agree. Is worrying. And it's a case of, I know everyone, like, his contract's up at the end of the season. I've got a strange feeling that's what he's waiting for. He doesn't want to walk out on this because it will just make his reputation look as bad. But if it waits to the end of the season and then he spills it all, what can Spurs do?
So, Kuva, let me bring you in on this. And I want to completely agree with what Marlon just said there. I hate agreeing with other people because I'm always right. But no, just joking. What Marlon said, I've said that, Kuva, haven't I? I've said that. I truly believe that Conte is in a win-win situation by not signing this contract. Has a good season, and the win situation is, look what I've done with this squad that isn't great. Yeah. Has a bad season and either walks or is sacked, and it's, I wasn't backed. He can't lose. Sign a new contract, and you're saying, I agree with this process, right? Sign a new contract, and you are saying, I like what the owners are giving me. That's why listen, I want to be wrong. I want to pick up the newspaper. If anyone reads a newspaper anymore, I want to pick up my TV control, put Sky on tomorrow and see Conte signs new 3-year deal. Right? I just don't think he will. And the fact that he hasn't, and all of that wording around, all that wording around, oh, well, it's trust and we don't need a written contract, blah, blah, blah. Kuva, what do you reckon? Is this him ready to leave in the summer?
I don't even think you need to be cynical when looking at it either. It's just straightforward, isn't it? If he loves his job, is getting paid well, and he's getting backed, he'll sign a new contract.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Right.
It doesn't even have to be any mind games going on there. You just look at it that way. If everything's right, he'll sign it. If it's not, he's off.
January's important. I think January and after that World Cup's going to be so important to who they bring in.
We say that every window.
Yeah, I know, but it's really weird because I personally thought I think he looked at this window and at least they're trying, kind of thing, and I've got a year. But January now has become, because of how everything went in the summer, January is going to be, depending on where we are, depending on how the World Cup goes, depending on what injuries we pick up from the World Cup, January is going to be important for Conte, not for Spurs, for Conte. And I think that's what's going to be very key if he's going to extend anything. And you look at some of the people that we've kind of been linked with in January. I think Paratici and Levy, Conte are going to sit down, and if he doesn't get at least one or two of his players, he's going to be, I'll wait till the summer and I'm gone.
Wouldn't it be nice though, Marlon? Like if we do get two of his players, and this is the beauty as fans, right? And as YouTubers and Spurs fans in comment sections and Spurs fans chatting at the pub and in the ground, we'll never know. It's all our own theories, right? Yeah. None of us can ever know for sure, but we can just apply our own context to it. I want to see if Spurs bring in some players in the January transfer window, it be exactly like last year. Yeah, with Kulu and Bentancur. None of this, they need time to... No, you're better than him. You're better than him. Go.
Yeah.
And that's what tells me that most of these signings were not his players, because for me, Basuma is hands down better than Bentancur and Højbjerg, in my opinion. In my opinion. I just think he's got more to his all-round game. I think he's more suited for that 3-4-3 with his engine. Spence is miles better than, give or take. You know, I I don't want another window, guys, where it's, oh, well, they need a Conte pre-season, because this Conte pre-season has made us look really bad on the pitch, and the players look, dare I say it, do the players look leggy already?
Yeah, no, agreed. I think the only thing with Basuma though is that obviously he came in against West Ham, and let's be honest, he's we were told for weeks he's not up to Conte's performance where Conte wanted him to be, and we all looked at that West Ham performance and we had to kind of agree he wasn't great up until that point. But yeah, we can also take in he hasn't had much game time as well on top of that. But it's a case of actually seeing how he came on against Leicester and actually how much he changed the game. I totally agree with you. He does give us something different. And maybe I think with Basuma right now, he needs to do what Cesc Fabregas said that he did at Chelsea with Conte. Because a lot of people, I completely forgot about this, but the first 6 months of Conte's reign at Chelsea, Fabregas said he didn't even want me. I barely played. And that's when you look at how many games Fabregas actually started that season. I think it's quite even to how many substitute appearances he said. But he had to work so hard, and he got in, I think he said about January time, and then he started every week. So I think Basuma might be in the same boat as that, where he's going to be given. To be honest, I think.
But if that's the case, doesn't it tell you it's not a Conte signing? Because if Conte, I get it right. I think Fabregas was already at Chelsea, right?
Yeah, he was already at Chelsea.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was I've inherited you. I don't fancy you. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
This is. Hang on, you're my signing. You're my signing. You can't get into my 11. Kuva. What? This is going to be a great question from me, and I'm sure I'll get a great answer from you. What constitutes as a successful January window for Tottenham?
Identify our worst positions in the first 11. That's got to start with right wing back. Look at another central defender and a creative player. I think we need all three of those urgently. So a successful window means fill those areas. Simple as that.
The right back situation, though, is it really realistically? Is it going to happen?
No, of course it won't.
And that's going to be the biggest issue. Like I think they've still been linked to Bastoni in January. I don't know how true that is, but they are probably still looking at the centre back kind of area, because obviously if Dyer, I know Dyer possibly he was training, but if he's injured, there's no other cover at centre back. Even though I think it should be replaced, not covered. But it's a case of the right wing back situation. I think we're all, unfortunately, as Spurs fans, we're gonna have to live with Royale, 30 and Spence until the end of the season. There's going to be no replacement for that. And no matter how much we moan about it, it's kind of, we got to get on with it now. But it's, if he's going to do that in the right back situation where he's got no choice but to play them, he's got to make sure the rest of the team is playing well and is spot on. Otherwise, you will get a lot of what's going on now. Royale's going to get a lot of flack. He always does in most games. But the rest of the team have not been great.
That's true.
And they've not been great. Like most of the players haven't stepped up. There's been certain individual performances where you go, Højbjerg did work all right this game, but the next game he won't be. He'll be completely crap. But in Bentancur, the same. He'll be great one game, and then all of a sudden he goes disappearing. Kane again probably hasn't had. Kane has not been the player we saw at the end of last year. Right? No matter, it's good. It's just lucky that he's scoring goals in the league. But in his Champions League performances, I think he's getting found out. I don't know if that's more to do with Haaland being in it, and we're being a bit more critical of him right now because Haaland's obviously doing what he's doing. But Kane at the moment, if you look at the 3 games in the Champions League, let's be honest, the group's not meant to be hard, and the defenders are not meant to be that great. If Kane's meant to be that world class as we all say he is, he should be storming this. He shouldn't be playing the way he is. But that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, it is. Let me just quickly, first of all, please, where can people subscribe to you, Marlon?
You can find me at A View from the South Stand TV. I do the Premier League match reactions. I've also got a guy named Haas who does the Cup and Champions League. It's a great watch. We have different guests each week. We try and, change it up, make sure that we don't have the same people coming on and talking, even though it's hard at the moment. but it's only it show's only for an hour. Everyone who's come and seen it always says that actually it's a good watch, and it'd be nice if we can get some more subscribers up as well, because we're getting more views than subscribers at the moment, and we're like, what do we do?
Listen, people, go over, show some love for fellow Spurs people. It's not about channels versus other channels. It's about everyone's got their own perspective, their own different way. Let's show love to all the Spurs channels, apart from the ones I don't like. No,
that'd be mad nice.
Show some love. Show some love to Marlon. And also show some love. Kuva's show on a Sunday night with the Free Spurs boys. And please show some love to this channel. Talking about showing love, there's 140 people in the chat, only 40 likes. That is very stingy. And if you would also like to provide super chats, the money does go to the British Heart Foundation. Just looking at a few of the chats quickly. Spamionship John has said, if I was Conte, I would never sign a long-term contract with Enoch. His only leverage over them is the threat of leaving. Fair play. Kieran has said, I think that the fact that Conte didn't stick out with Basuma after his poor performance versus West Ham tells us he doesn't fancy him. Marlon, do you need to shoot?
Yeah, I need to go, peeps. But as Savva said, please like and subscribe. Make sure you like this. He does some good things on this channel. I'm always watching in the background. But yeah, make sure you subscribe. Yeah, come over to A View from the South Stand TV where you can find us as well. But yeah, as always, come on, you Spurs.
Cheers, see you later, mate. Cheers, Marlon. Ben Saliouf has said, Højbjerg has been improving a bit, but still miles better. Money Peter said, Conte will walk in the summer. Kane and Son will also walk, so it's rebuilding. But then again, it's back to square one with Levy. It's a vicious circle. Eat, sleep, repeat. Party after party. Conte is treating Basuma like how Pep does to first-year signings. He never plays them a lot the first season, giving them time to adjust.
It's possible.
It is. The difference is Pep Guardiola's got a brilliant team that they need to get into. Spurs quite simply don't. David Clark has come in and said Conte's 3-4-3 worked at his other clubs because he had better players overall that fitted his system. And David, I know we don't agree on everything, mate, but that is spot on. And this is why, David, when people say to me, oh, we've got Conte, we're going to win something, I will always go back and go, it's not the manager, it's the players, right? You've got to have the better players. Luan said, yeah, I think Conte and Kane will leave next summer. Remind me when I finish this little bit, Kuva, I want to talk about Kane. Greg Spurs says Conte didn't get what he wanted, but he also said we're going to need a few windows to be challenging for trophies. It's okay for now, but don't fuck me. I mean, great, that's fine. Conte can say that, but will he be here for those windows? That's the whole point. Will he stick out? He's used to winning. Will he stick out buying players like Spence and Longley on loan? And I think
the bit I did like about what Conte said was it was very clear that he's not happy with what he's got at the moment. It needs extra windows, so you can see he's not just going to be one of those yes men for Levy and just go, yeah, very happy with the squad. I think that's the wrong real criticism I had of Pochettino. He would say, yes, I'm very happy with this squad because he didn't want to rock the boat. Conte's happier to just say, no, need 3 or 4 more windows. This isn't good enough.
Let's talk about Harry Kane. A lot of stick going to Heung-min Son this season, rightly so, in my opinion. I think he's been a shambles. But Harry Kane, it's a real awkward one because on paper you go, how many games he played, how many goals he scored, brilliant return. But his game's not been good. And I think this kind of sums it up. You know, Kane has been getting pocketed by mediocre defenders in every Champions League game so far. The thing that's always been levelled, Kuva, at Harry Kane, especially by fans that are not Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur fans will sing, he's the best striker in the world, blah, blah, blah. Clubs of other fans will say, well, hang on, he's got to do it in those big games. And the thing for me is, if Harry Kane, I'm not saying he's not, but Harry Kane's this world-class striker, we need to see him then against Marseille, Frankfurt, Sporting Lisbon. These games surely should be bread and butter for him, right? So Is it just that he's not in form, his all-round game, or is this a byproduct of the system and the way we're playing and the performances we're seeing from the team as a whole? I know that's difficult. I know it's
a bit of both for me. You could say part of it's a byproduct of the way we're playing. He's having to drop deeper and deeper and deeper just to get on the ball. But his touch has gone as well. His passing's off. He is offering himself as a target man. He's even against Frankfurt. I thought he did the target man bit okay. He was available for an outlet ball, but the moment he had got it, there was nothing happening. There was no magical through ball coming from him. All the rest of his game's gone the pot. So I think you look at him and say the basics are covered. He's been bundling the ball in the net and he's been there for an outlet ball. The rest of his game has been poor, like Sonny's, hasn't it? I mean, I think that's why Sonny gets the bulk of the criticism. It's because he isn't bundling the ball in the net at the moment. If he was, it'd be pretty much on par. I think you've got to look at the two of them together. We look at the whole attacking of them, all of them together.
Yeah, it's not been good, is it?
It's just not happening, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, this is the thing, and this is why I always think stats can be really misleading. Because again, if someone had dropped you down here from another planet, I'll get you on in 1 second, my friend. I can see you in the background. Just hold tight, and maybe you can let me know if it's if someone dropped you from another planet, you'd go, "Oh, what are you talking about, Kane? He's scored 7 Premier League goals in 8 Premier League games. It's great." But something, I don't know, last year he was dropping deep and getting on the ball and he looked fantastic with his range of passing. And I'm going to ask this, difficult one. I'll bring you in here as well, Ale. Is it Ale?
It's Ayala.
Ayal. 1 second, Ale. I'm going to ask Kuva and let you answer this. Welcome to the show. Is Richarlison, I'm just trying to find links here. Is Richarlison, I don't want to say ruining, is he disturbing the balance of that front three that was so effective for the second half of last season? Or is this purely on Kane and Son?
No, Richarlison disturbs it, so does Perisic. The dynamic has changed. Sonny's developing into more like a midfielder, with Perisic being the advanced winger. It has affected his game. I've said this on several streams. You look at the way Sonny plays now, the amount of time he spends with his back to goal to receive a pass, that was never his game before, was it? He was the furthest one forward, expecting to run onto the through ball. It's all changed. There's something about the chemistry and the tactics used with those individual players. It's messed things up a bit. Plus, I think players are having a dip in form at the same time. Because no matter what the tactics, some of the passing has just been shocking. Even simple passes. You know Kane can measure a perfect pass into the box at times, and he's been way over hitting it or massively under hitting it. And it's just not right. Sonny's been doing the same thing. Noticed it with Perisic a few times as well. He's usually on point with his crossing, which has been great generally. But when he does have a bad game, it seems to be, it's a disease. It's catching amongst them all. With the only one that seems to be immune from it's Kulusevski, and he's not getting in the team.
Let's just quickly let's appreciate Gaz Spurs for his wonderful analysis of he's done it against the best. You prat. Thank you. That was insightful and insulting. Thank you. Your words just make me stronger. Ayal, let me bring you in here, my man. Harry Kane. Look, there's lots of different things. Harry Kane will always score goals. Of that, there is no doubt. He scored goals his whole career. He's not looking as sharp this year, which we can look at in two ways. We can look at as that's good because we know there's another gear to go to, or there's always that worry of, is this him now? Where do you sit with Harry Kane? And is this a case of him just never, ever, ever being rested for England or Tottenham?
He isn't looking the same now. Harry Kane from last year he can pick a pass anywhere on the pitch. The guy he can't pass a 2-meter pass. It's crazy. he scores goals. He scored like 5 goals this year, but the guy can pass. Son, nowhere to be seen. The Van Linkamp between them, trash. The Richarlison with him, with Kulusevski is the most important player in the front three.
Yeah.
The guy links out the play. We need a creative midfielder because if he doesn't play with Richarlison Richarlison and Son are the same players, and it's mixed it up. So yeah, Kane is a really good player. If he's on form, like the Man City game, he can rip apart any team in the world. But he isn't in form.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you then: would you, do you feel that there's a need at some points for Kane to be on the bench with Richarlison 100%. Playing through the middle?
100%.
And what sort of games would you do that? Because I get it, right? That the criticism for Conte will be the moment he does that and we don't score a goal, the easy go-to is going to be, well, Kane's not playing, right? But at the same time, Kane has played so much football over the last decade, hasn't he? He's played, whenever he's fit, he plays every minute for club and country. Could it be a case that Conte doesn't trust Richarlison in that position, or that he wasn't bought for that position? What do you make of that dynamic with Richarlison coming into play in that front three?
Richarlison is a proven player. He scored like 14 goals, I don't know, for Everton. He's not a nobody. He's not Spence.
Right, yeah, sure. He's got experience, right? At international.
He got experience in the league. It's not like he's not real proven. So, and we're gonna play 10 games, like 13 games over this past, I don't know, month until the World Cup. So if he doesn't bench Kane, his legs will be gone, like gone. So we see it now because he doesn't draw back.
Yeah.
He just doesn't stay there. Don't draw back. Like don't like conserve your energy. Don't. In the midfield, he gets ripped up. They tackle him every time. He gets the ball, boom, tackle. So,
let me ask you, because I've got a few people waiting to come on. So was there? I asked you about Kane. Was there something that you wanted to come on and discuss before we go? Was there a particular topic that you wanted to get your frustration out, or praise, or whatever? Was there anything?
Not really. Just about Kane. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about Kane.
Thank you so much.
Please feel free to come back next time we do a show, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers.
Guys,
I think it's a fair point about Kane. To be fair, he has played so much, hasn't he? Well, I think I'll be happy to see him if he's dropped, just to give him a refresher for a week or so.
I agree with you. Just so you know, people, I'm going to go for about another 20 minutes. So if anyone does want to come on, I've just put the link in the chat. So you've got 20 minutes. Mark, how you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you guys? You all right?
Good. You love being in your car. You're always in your car, aren't you?
I know, because I'm always catching this like when I'm like sort of finished work and on my way back. So, you know.
Most people listen to like Kiss 100, but I think everyone should listen to Savva and Spurs instead. Mark, Brighton tomorrow. Brighton are in really good form, playing some really good football. Even with the change of manager, what can you see happening, and how can we get a win there? What do we need to do?
It's a difficult one. I mean, let's be fair, they've always played good football. They've always been playing good football. Of course, Spurs hat on, etc. I'm expecting a result.
Yeah.
I'm expecting us to play well. I mean, obviously it can go on and on where we're not starting games well, etc. But there's got to be a time where we click up. I mean, I thought it was better during the week. I thought it was better, so I'm expecting that to carry on. And I'm expecting probably a narrow victory. To be fair,
Yeah,
I'm expecting a very narrow one.
Let me ask you then, Mark. And got before anyone shouts at me in the comments. First of all, big up Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas Cruz, isn't Nicholas Cruz the name of the guy that shot up that school in America a few months back?
Sounds familiar.
Isn't that who that is? I mean, if that is,
there's so many of them.
Thank you for the super chat, but that's a very worrying. That is the mass shooter. Very disturbing, Matt, my man. Just change your name and your photo. But thank you for the super chat.
Oh, the photo matches it as well, does it?
Yeah, hang on. Sorry, guys, I've really got to have a look at this. Can anyone in the chat confirm this for us? Nicholas Cruz. Yes, for the mass shootings in America. Wow. That's a warped sense of humor, but thank you.
Wow.
If we don't win tomorrow, if we lose tomorrow, at what point do we worry? Because that will then be West Ham, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Frankfurt, Sporting. That'll be a lot of games where fans have told me we're going to win that we haven't. So if we lose that tomorrow, does that just put more and more pressure on the club?
Of course. I mean, with the expectation which fans have created, of course, it's automatically going to put pressure on. It's going to put pressure on naturally the manager. I think the pressure's always been on Levy, etc. But he seems to just be able to brush that off and not really care about that. So the pressure then with us fans, because we know we can't get through to Levy and Enoch, the pressure will be put on the manager to why don't you change it? Especially if we play the same formation. If we play the 3-4-3 and it doesn't work again, the pressure is going to go straight onto the manager. We're not going to look at as fans, which I think we should do, and say, it's because of the personnel which are playing for the club. Yeah. And it hasn't been back. It's going to go straight onto Conte. We're going to say, because this is a good deflection tactic by Levy, actually. Yeah. I've given you the world-class manager. It's up to him. He's out of the loop as far as he's concerned. And that's why we're talking about, Conte should play, 5 at the back, 5 in the middle, blah, 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 blah. So straight away, pressure on Conte. Straight away, if that carries on, it's going to build up and build up. And all we're going to do is hound that. No, all that's going to happen is Conte will go, do you know what? I don't need this. Yeah. And then go. And then Levi will go, well, it wasn't my fault.
But at the same time, look, and bearing in mind, Mark, that you won't find too many, probably other than Stell, too many other people who hate leaving Enoch as much as I do, right? So bear that in mind before I say what I'm about to say. If we do lose again tomorrow, right, at what point, though, is it fair to say, well, hang on, the manager's got it. We can't just say, it's all Enoch and Levy, because you're not telling me that, West Ham have got a better team than us. Frankfurt have got a better team. Sporting Lisbon, Arsenal, Brighton. Doesn't it get to a point where it's sort of like, well, hang on, one way or the other, Conte at some point has to shoulder some blame, especially, Mark, if it is the same tactics again. Because won't it show it's not working?
Oh yes, of course. But the thing is, though, when going back to the Arsenal game, where Stel was going, we should play the 5 at the back. We did play the 5 at the back, and it still didn't work. So therefore, yes. Who are we going to blame then? Are we going to blame the manager, or are we going to blame the personnel? Because he did actually play 5 at the back. When you watch the game, there was 5 at the back. There was.
Which game? Which game?
The Arsenal game. There was consistently 5 at the back, right? in the Arsenal game, and it still didn't work. And then we, of course, we're going down to then the individual errors, etc. So it still didn't work. So now what are we looking at? So we're still looking at the personnel, like the players. So it wasn't. Was it Conte's fault, or was it the lack of decent personnel who make these ridiculous mistakes?
Okay, so Kuva, let me ask you then. As with anything in life that isn't black or white, isn't there some sort of grey area here where we go, well, hang on, if we weren't to win, it is, of course, it's Enoch and Levy. Of course, you can sprinkle Paratici in there and also Conte. It's not, for me, at this stage, it's not, it can't be every game is Enoch and Levy. As much as I hate them, it can't be them every time we don't get a result, especially if we're not getting beaten by Man City, Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? If it's teams that we've spent more than or as much as, and the fact that we've got Kane and Son and Kulusevski and Perisic, and these clubs do not, at what point do you go, this is on the manager to find a solution?
No, for me, no, I don't buy into that. At the end of the day, the manager is put there by the chairman, isn't he? So either you know what you're getting and you supply them with the correct tools to do their job, or you get a different manager, don't you? So we never do that. It's like a random scattering of signings in for whoever's in charge at the time. Clearly, all these talks we've had before of Pochettino wanted this player, Mourinho wanted him, Conte wanted him. It's clearly not in their hands, is it? It's clearly still Levy.
Of course it's not.
I mean, after all, he's the one that signs the checks, isn't he? He's not just going to give him a blank check. But there you go, lads. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Much as I'd love to see that.
Do you not believe then, Kuva? Do you not believe, like so many fans will tell you that, oh, no, Levy doesn't do that anymore. He's passed all that responsibility over to Paratici.
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
What he may have done is got a director of football that panders to his wishes a little bit and does a little bit for the manager, which is kind of what you would want to see in a director of football. He should be convincing the chairman of the players that the manager wants. That should be the job for him. And the other half of his job is getting the players out. This is why I don't think we're going to sign anyone in January. I think we're going to get a loan signing. It's because we've got all these backlog of players out on loan that we can't shift. We're not going to make any permanent signings until some of them get sold off. And it's not happening anytime soon, is it? They're just not wanted.
And this is why, Kuva, when people are talking about, and Mark as well, when people are talking about windows, and first of all, I don't understand this whole rate it out of 10. I mean, for me, it's either been successful or not, right? But when people are giving it, it's an 8 or a 9 out of 10, I always look and think, well, hang on. At the end of May next year, when this season finishes, Ndombele, Reguilon, Lo Celso, Winks, Roden. I can't even think who else is. I think there was like 8 or 9 of them that have gone on loan. They're all going to come back. And then next summer, what's going to happen again? The whole window is going to be dominated by, we can't bring in because of the homegrown quota, and we can't bring in another foreign player until we get rid of. That's a worry, right, Mark?
But can I say something? What worries me is that I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe you guys could tell me if I'm wrong about this. Before the transfer window started, before we even signed, it was our first signing, Perisic. Even before that, the first player who was only linked with was Jed Spence. Is it or is it me? That was
we were linked with him.
I can't understand it. I can't understand it. And everybody was getting gas at hole, and all these other clubs. They're looking at him. Now, isn't that worrying in the first place? The first player and only player, we can chuck in other names that came along the pipeline, which always comes in transfer windows, etc. All these brilliant world class right backs, right wing backs, whoever. Even before, you know, the Italian defenders, it was Jed Spence. Throughout the whole transfer window and before, it was only Jed Spence. Yes, it was a surprise with Basuma. That came out of nowhere. It was a bit of a surprise, really, with Perisic. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm.
But other than that, really, before that, it was Jed Spence. And this is what I can't understand about the Conte thing. Oh, that was a club signing. But hold on a minute. The world and his mother knew about Jed Spence. Don't get it.
Yeah, and listen, that is Tottenham. That's what it'll be. Let me just quickly go through some chats, and then Kuva, I've got a question I want to ask you off the back of one of them. Amir has said, I remembered when Levy denied that he cares only about money. Of course he only cares about money. That's why we built the stadium. Kieran has said, rating a window before the following season has ended doesn't make sense anyway. Yeah, I kind of get that. As my video frozen?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I am still here.
You're looking stunning anyway. Don't worry.
Oh my god, that just looks absolutely dreadful. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my camera today. Let's try 1 second. Let's try that, and then my other camera should be covering that. Yeah. Now let's go back to the Elgato. Oh, we're having a. There we go. I'm back, everybody. I'm here. Ian has said, sorry, guys, just woke up, damn long COVID symptoms. Sorry to hear that, Ian. I hope you feel better soon.
Unlucky, mate.
Mr. Euro has said, wrapped up under the quilts with an awful bug. Savva is the perfect remedy. Without a doubt, probably my favourite YouTuber. Oh, that's nice. Sorry to hear about your bug, but thank you. Ian has said, Man United will link to Jed Spence
He's
as
clearly
well.
delirious, isn't he?
Yeah. There you go. Oh, not one of his favourite. His favourite. Cheers, Mr. Euro. Now, off the back of this comment, I want to talk to you, Kuva, and I'm going to go for another 10 minutes. But Chelsea owners have already lined up a player who are going to sign a pre-contract agreement in January, right? And we all know who this is, right? This is that terrible player at RB Leipzig, Nkunku.
Yeah,
right.
Awful
player, terrible footballer.
Give me a Clinton Njai any day.
Oh, I know. Now, all jokes aside, why do we never do this, right? Why is Paratici, why is Spurs not seen as Spurs have had a medical with so-and-so, they're signing a contract in January. Why do we not do this?
Does it begin with an L?
Love?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. We just... Yeah, why don't we? I want to know the same thing. That we just there's no forward planning, is there? It's almost like everything's reactionary. Window opens. Oh, better get a player now.
Yeah,
only got 30 days to go. That's all right. Let's go on holiday for 3 weeks.
What I'd love to know is, right, you know, when we see all of these shows, so you've got all the kind of all or nothing shows on Amazon. There was that brilliant, I don't know if you guys saw this, it was the series about Salford that Gary Neville owns. And that was a really good show. And what they do is they show, right, okay, the window's shut for January. Right, okay, let's start planning. What are we doing for the summer? I kind of get the feeling that Spurs don't bother because we are one of the only clubs that when it gets to the first week of the window, you know, other clubs go, we've signed so-and-so on a pre-contract agreement. We're doing this, we're doing that. We never do that, Mark, do we? We don't,
No.
You know, wouldn't it be nice to see, right, so-and-so's got a year left on their contract. Spurs have already got a pre-agreement in place for him signing.
Exactly. It would be lovely, but the way I look at even like so far or even pre-season is Levy playing almost yet again a safe card. He's got in one of the top managers in the world. Let's face it. He got top 4. This season, yes, we've done a few, sprinklings here and there. He's been saved because in between we've got the World Cup. So anything that happens, it's not going to be his fault.
Right, yeah.
Then You go to January, yes, we might do what we did last January and do another couple of sprinklings and then still get top 4. But he's playing a safe game. And it's a safe game to actually look good, hopefully, let's face it, for people, for buyers of this club. Because then what you've got, again, you've got Champions League football, which is going to bring in the dollars. You've got all these events which is going to restart, which we know, again, that's another revenue source. Hopefully, he's thinking, oh, if we just stay in and around the top 4, we're going to get the naming rights. That's more dough coming in. So all he's doing, and that's why the whole 150 million stuff, the crap, was we'll buy more shares with Enoch so that when we sell, we're going to get even more money. All we have to do is sustain Conte. And yes, they'll try and trigger his 1-year deal. I guarantee it will be straight after the World Cup. They'll trigger that. You know, well, if Conte could get out of it, fair play. But they'll trigger that.
Are you suggesting, Mark? Are you suggesting, Mark, that Spurs will have a bad January window, and then what we'll do in the last week of the window is get Conte to sign his one, or ignite the ignite's not the right word, trigger the clause for an extra year, and then all our fans will go, "Oh my God, that's the best thing that could have happened to us this window." Is that what you're suggesting, Mark?
But come on, let's look at it. It's so obvious. The best signing in January is going to be Conte. Trust me. It looks like it, doesn't it?
It's what we do. It's like next summer when we sign Kulusevski, fans will go, "There's a first signing," and no, that's not the first signing. He's been with us for 18 bloody months. That is not
exactly.
a signing.
That's what we'll do. It's a classic. It is absolutely classic. And then once you triggered him in, it was like, please, they're going to be begging. Oh my God, we bought 150 million pound worth of more shares. We have to get this money. We want to try and market ourselves as worth more money than bloody Chelsea. We got sold for what, 4.5 billion. We go, oh, look at that, look at the amount of money we bring in, and we've got a world-class manager, blah, blah, blah. This is how he's trying to do it. It's all about them trying to get money. It would not surprise me that's what I'm saying, it's not surprising me one little bit if they are working behind the scenes, not to sign players, but to actually sell this bloody club.
I make you right.
Just before Eugene comes on, I'm just going to add to that as well. The other trick I hate that we keep doing, we'll see Romero signs for us. But, oh no, we're paying for it next summer. So then we count as being Romero signed this summer, and then the next summer we've now paid for Romero. That counts on this summer as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh wow, you've got this great signing. It's signed twice.
My God, exactly. My God, we've spent 150, we've already spent 130 odd million. What more do you want, man?
Yeah,
it's a clever bloody trick.
It's what we do. I mean, Eugene, I'm going to bring you in, but just so you know, I am ending the show in about 4 or 5 minutes, but I will bring you in. Look, this is what Tottenham do. I mean, when I see things like Fabrizio Romano saying, you know, Chelsea have had a medical already with Nkunku, and I just sit there and I think, Jesus, what we're in a different league now. We may finish above Chelsea this year, but when you look at what Chelsea are buying, when you look at the succession planning, when you look at the manager they brought in, who's going to play really good football and embed that into them, is this just a case of we are going to fall further and further behind, Eugene, and the current third in the league is actually a mirage for what is actually the truth?
Hi, Savva. Hi, Kuva. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you guys again. All I'm going to tell you is this. We are all in a long con. You know what's a long con, right? We've been con for the past 22 years. And we're still being con, right? So it's either that you suck it up and accept that long con, right? pay the highest price tickets, right? The jerseys cost like, for me, I'm in Malaysia. Imagine it's like 95 quid, right? It'll cost me something like 400-500 ringgit for original jersey, right? So it's all about the long con. But the problem is that our fan base, right, has been so, being conned into this storyline, and every year there's some kind of showing some little ambition, which never ever comes to fruition.
Yep.
Right? It's been going on.
But Eugene, the fans believe it every year. Every year, the fans
we had such a
believe
good transfer window this year, right? Right, so great, right? And whenever Conte looks at his bench, I think he wants to throw up.
Yeah, it's not good.
But
I mean, Eugene, talk to me just quickly because we haven't got long. Talk to me about tomorrow. What do you reckon? And then I'm going to get everyone's predictions before we go. What do you reckon about tomorrow's game?
Honestly, right? I think Conte was going through some kind of depression the past 3 or 4 days. I think because of the Ventroni incident, the thing that's happened to our fitness coach and all that. I think that's a very close and dear friend of his, and I think that reflected onto his mood. And when that reflected onto his mood, I think it reflected onto the players, because I think the players are reflecting the way he feels. So I guess that's why we were very lackluster and all that. But deep down inside, I wish the boys, right, this Saturday, right, will come out and show that what they can really do. But I've got another theory too. The World Cup's too near. Harry Kane has he's gone somewhere else now. Son Heung-min has gone somewhere else too. Richarlison is trying his best because he needs to perform so he can get into the Brazil team and over Jesus, right? But I don't want to say, because I think because of the World Cup, it's thrown a big spanner into a lot of plans. But for tomorrow's game, I really do wish that our boys do turn up, right? And actually show up and show what they can really do and show some pride and honor on behalf of our dearly departed fitness coach, right? That's I really
absolutely.
hope we do. Yeah, but
and look, awful news that came out of Spurs yesterday. Look, we must say that awful news. It's horrible when anyone dies, and especially when it's close to the club that you love, etc. So let's get that right. I mean, it is difficult, and let's hope. I think you're right. What I would want to see tomorrow, guys, is I want to see a game for once where we come out the blocks flying. I feel like every game, you almost know, even if we kick off, you almost know we're going to knock it long, lose the ball, and then we fall back in. It's like, like in Transformers, we go, Autobots fall back and they all go back into shape. That's almost what Spurs do. It's right, they've got the ball now, we'll sit in. And if that's your tactic, right, great. But as a fan, I sit there and I go, all right. And even now, I've got to the stage, guys, and it sounds awful, where Spurs are playing, but whereas before, nothing else could get in my way. Like the missus could be asking me to do this or do that, or the dogs want attention or what. I'm like that. No. Now I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, just, because...
I'm playing Candy Crush when Spurs play.
So, I mean, okay, let me get some predictions, guys. So I do need to go in a minute. Let's start with you, Mark. Tottenham away at Brighton, the 5:30 kickoff. What are we saying?
3-2 Spurs.
3-2.
Yeah.
Okay. 3-2. All right. Kuva.
2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton. We've got two complete ends of the spectrum here. Eugene, you're gonna be a decider on this one, mate. Are you gonna go for the draw?
To tell the truth, right, based on our performance and our form, right, actually I would side with Kuva, but based on what happened recently, I think the boys will come out. I'll say 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs. Okay, so we've got 3-2 Spurs, 2-0 to Spurs, 2-0 to Brighton. And as I said yesterday, my prediction is the exact same prediction I gave for the last two games for both Arsenal and Frankfurt, which would be either a draw or a narrow win to the opposition. I want to sit here and say that I truly believe we will go to Brighton and win. I just think we look absolutely shambolic at the moment in terms of everything. Can we win? I'm not saying we can't win at all. Obviously, I'm not going to sit and say we can't win. I just feel that they're in good form. We're not, and I've seen this game. I've seen this game before. They're going to have all the ball. We're going to be frustrated. Some fans will go, I don't care about how we play. But sorry, guys, I do. I really do care about how we play.
I'm only saying that. I'm only saying it, of course, because of as well what's happened. And I think if that can't get you up to sort your shit out, I mean, come on, you owe it.
Yeah. Look, guys, as always, I'll caveat and say whenever I predict a draw or a loss, I always caveat. I hope I'm massively wrong. The number of times I come on here and say I'm massively wrong, and then I start doing my videos the next week and go, well, I wasn't not I told you so, but it's a shame Spurs didn't do what we wanted them to do again. I want to come on here tomorrow night and go, I'm wrong.
I've got to say something about party after party. It's going, shame on you, Kuva. Yeah, I get what he's saying, but I mean, what's the point in having predictions if everybody's got to say Spurs win all the time?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and look, to add on to that, Kuva, our away form is atrocious.
Yeah, it is.
Right, the only team we've beaten away is Nottingham Forest, who remind me where they are in the league.
Last.
Right. So listen, tomorrow I would love to be shut up. I would love to be coming on here.
Well, wasn't it?
Yeah, we weren't good there either. I want to be coming on here tomorrow, Kuva, going 4-0, sun brace, Kane brace, absolutely brilliant, loved it. I just don't think Brighton are that team to get spanked. I don't think they are. Look, guys, I'm going to leave it there. We'll be live again tomorrow after the Brighton game for match reaction, which will be fun or not, depending on the result. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Always appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Always. Eugene, sorry, mate, you need to come a tiny bit earlier, my man. But lovely to have you.
Actually, I was watching House of Dragons.
Fair enough. That's probably got more views than my show, so I get it. Kuva, as always, thank you very much. Guys in the chat, thank you very much for all your support, for all your chats. We'll see you tomorrow. And as always, get out of my club. Daniel Levy, Enoch, Joe Lewis, anyone associated with them. Goodbye.
Out.